What's up, Speed Ass Garage? Welcome back to the channel. If you're into car stuff, if you like Toyota Supras, if you like turbochargers, if you love to laugh, then I suggest you to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. But today is a pretty big day. This is the day that basically lets us know that we are almost ready to fire this puppy up. What I got in this white box here is the ECU that Adam decided to choose. So let's open up this box and let's look at what we're going to be trying to install today. Check that out. We got the Pro EFI engine management system. This model here is the Pro 128 ECU. This thing right here is bad to the bone. Believe it or not, fam, this is one of the best ECUs on the market. This thing has 12 outputs for injectors. So if you want to run 12 injectors, you can do so. This thing has 3 channel sets. It has multiple outputs as well as multiple inputs. It's already set up where if you want to put a flex field sensor in there, all you gotta do is wire up one wire, boost control, traction control. I mean, this thing has everything you need to do. Different levels of two-step anti-lag. I mean, the things that this thing offer is endless. I mean, this is what the guys use in full race Supras as well as Camaros, Mustangs. I mean, you name it, they make it for it. And believe it or not, this is one of the only standalone ECUs that will control the factory automatic transmission for the Supra, which is an A340 tranny. This ECU was like basically a no-brainer. It was like a must-have. So let me show you guys everything that comes with this, or everything that we purchased for this Pro EFI setup. Here is the harness that come with it. Look how these guys like took this jelly or some kind of coating material and glued it into this pigtail. This is the section that plugs into the factory harness. I mean, stuff like this, attention to detail is why you purchase an item like this. All the outputs, everything is labeled. Alright fam, this is everything that we got with this kit. I'm not sure if everything here comes with the kit. Some things I'm sure Adam bought separately, but we got the ECU, we got the wiring harness here. This looks like, I don't know, we'll figure out what that is. You got a Pro EFI Mac valve, which is basically the boost controller. It comes with the pigtail so that you can wire it up. We got a couple of extra pins for the ECU in case we want to add in our own inputs or set up our own outputs. We got this thing here that's pretty nifty, which is almost like a boost controller, but you can have up to 5 settings as far as setting up your boost controller. If you wire in traction control, they'll all work with traction control as well. So that's a must-have when you start making a bunch of power and you're trying to run that 9/4 mile pass. Looks like we have a cable here that looks like it'll probably hook up to the laptop. Maybe this one will hook up to the laptop as well. We have to figure out what this stuff is. And then we got this nice little screen here that's set up for data log. And just like it's supposed to, it comes with a USB drive that I'm pretty sure has the instruction manual. It probably has some of that caution warning, you know, don't put this junk on a car in California type of stuff. But this is pretty nice how they got this junk set up. And hey, you can't never get tired of that carbon fiber. Woo, that mug is short. Some of the items that are not here yet, or I take that back. Some of the items that came in the kit but we've already installed is the wideband O2 sensor. We also got an air intake temperature sensor. We did have to purchase the bung to weld onto the cold side of the intercooler pipe. What else did it come with? We also got a 5-bar map sensor that's on the setup as well. And then we're also running a fuel pressure sensor so that we can make sure that we optimize our fuel system to the max. So let's load up all this stuff and take it to the garage and let's start doing some wiring. All right guys, we're gonna start with the engine bay wiring first. We got to do this map sensor, which is a 5-bar map sensor. The good thing about this is the 2J already came with a map sensor, so all we gotta do is clip these wires off put on the correct pigtail, which came with the kit, which is also 3 wires, and then we can plug that in. We also got to do the intake air temperature sensor, and then we also got to repurpose this plug here. I forget what it's for, but the computer is not using this plug. It's actually using this plug, which is the TPS. So we're gonna repurpose this, and then we're gonna snake that down and use it for our fuel pressure sensor. And there's the wideband. Wideband's already installed, plugged in here, and then we're running it through that little hole down there. I had to remove this grommet, but it snakes in there and it fits down on the passenger floorboard. And this is where the Pro EFI computer is gonna live. Passenger side floorboard. This is where the factory one was located before. We may make some kind of bracketry to bolt it up, but in overall, this is where it sits. So here's the pigtail for the map sensor. And again, here's the plug. So all we gotta do is connect these two. But with this kit, it comes with a 1 foot long line. I mean, we don't even need but maybe like this much. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this stuff back, solder everything in, and we'll move on to the next sensor. All right, so as you can tell, we got the map sensor installed and tucked away. Now we're gonna move over to the fuel pressure sensor wiring. And again, we're using the stock secondary traction TPS sensor. We're no longer gonna need it. So once again, we're gonna go ahead and cut all these leads off, and we're gonna repurpose it at the ECU, but we're gonna go ahead and solder on the pigtail for the fuel pressure sensor that's sitting right up under the throttle body. All right, so now we got the fuel pressure sensor wired up. I didn't show it for the map sensor, but that's the wiring coordination. Red to blue with a red stripe, white to yellow with a, I think it's a green stripe. And then the last wire, which is black, is gonna be brown with a black stripe. This wire is not being used because we only need 3, and then we're gonna repurpose it at the ECU. So I'm gonna go ahead and slap this loom back on it, electrical tape it, and plug it in. All right, fam, so now we got the wire in, the air intake temp sensor, which is located down there on the cold side. It's 2 wires, and believe it or not, just like GM's and just like RB25, like Nissan stuff, this is the map sensor, and there is a signal wire in here that's actually built in that reads air intake temp, and then the other one is a ground. So we're gonna snatch the 2 wires out of this, try to see if we can snake it back through this loom, and have them come out on this side. All right, fam, and to make this real simple, that's the sensor that we're no longer using, but we're gonna repurpose for the fuel pressure sensor. It looks like here, yellow with the blue stripe is the signal wire that goes to the computer. Follow that wire over. Yellow with a blue stripe, it's the line to the right, which is pin number 42. All right, guys, we use the ECU pin out. We're looking at wire number 42, second row from the bottom. Also the second to the right. So now we need to find that on our factory pigtail. Look on here. Let's see, can we get you? Second one is right there. Yellow with a blue stripe. Let's see if I can grab it with one hand, show you. There we go, yellow with blue stripe. And also take a piece of tape like this, painter's tape, cut it, make it real nice, give yourself a little extra on this side, and wrap it around the wire so that if you ever need to go back and troubleshoot something, I mean, as long as you got good handwriting, you can read your own handwriting, this will help you tremendously if you ever need to troubleshoot wiring, or you need to double check what you did, just in case you didn't do what you're supposed to do. All right, I had some yellow with green stripe wire sitting in my wiring pile. I always collect wiring harnesses, so I've already wired it up under there. As you can tell, I got that wire labeled, and then again, the wire comes through this piece here, but there is no wire that comes out on this side because once again, that sensor that we tapped into is not needed for the Pro EFI. So I had to run my own wire, and I ended up having to use one of their supplied ends and crimp that on using my open ring crimp. And according to this, we need to attach it to J1A30. J1A30, as you can tell, is the primary fuel pressure sensor input. So again, we need to take that wire and we need to put it there. I had to unlock this. So in order to do so, I took a really small precision screwdriver, and if you look on the top of this, there is like a little indentation on both sides right here. All I ended up doing was sliding that thing down in between there and kind of prying up gently on both sides, and it unlocked. So now I'm about to go ahead and put that pin in and put this all back together. Real quick, before I continue, I ended up getting this thing put back on. When I took that piece off, all them pins was able to move around, and it was hard to put that piece back on. But what I noticed is I think that this piece right here will unlock the wire, or unlock that terminal that I crimped on. So if you take a flathead and stick it on that side and push in that little manila piece, I think it unlocks it, and then you can either pull out or push in the pin. Actually, I take that back. I think then you could push in the pin. I think you do have to separate this in order to take a pin out, but I think we went a little too far. In other words, we could have unlocked this little manila piece and then pushed that into place, and that would have been a whole lot simpler than taking all this mess apart and putting it together. It wasn't too terrible, but it was terrible. And then another thing, if you look at these pins, it's probably hard to tell, but they got all these pins numbered, so it makes it that much more easy. We wrapped the IAT wiring with some of this protected wiring stuff that I got from Rogers auction, and we snaked that wire down up under the throttle body and plugged it in down there on the intercooler pipe where it belongs. So now we're ready to wire up this little guy. This here is the electronic boost controller. With this car being turbocharged from factory, it already had a factory turbo boost solenoid. This is the pigtail for it. It's blue. So all we gotta do is cut these two wires off and wire them to the provided MAC valve from Pro EFI. All right, next up, they provided a wideband, which they call here a Yugo cable. Here's the wiring, and as you can tell, everything is basically self-explanatory. You got your colors over here to the left, and then you got the location that it needs to go to the right. All right, Speed Ass Garage, I think I'm cutting the video off here, but just an overview of what we got accomplished today. We got our map sensor wired in. We got our boost controller wired in. We also got our air intake temp wired in. The wideband, which is bolted here in the downpipe on the inside, is wired up. And there are two more things that need to be wired in before we fire this puppy up. We got the fuel pumps. I'm a little unsure about how that needs to be wired up, but remember, we're using two fuel pumps. So one should be on all the time, and then another one should have an output that'll be configured where at a certain amount of boost, that second fuel pump will come on. And then we also have to wire in the traction control. That requires us to take out the dash, or at least the center section of the dash, to get to the traction control module and do a little wiring in that. So we'll just say that for the next video because I've been working out here all day and I want Smithfield barbecue. We'll turn you back on when it's time to finish up the wiring. But we're still working on the Supra and we're still wiring in our Pro EFI 128. Let me show you where we're at so far. All right, try to ignore the clustering here. This ain't something that we did. Whoever owned this Supra before ought to be smacked with all this daggone bird's nest. But right now, we're wiring in the traction control, and basically the computer wants to see the signal from, I think, the driver's side front wheel and then the passenger side rear. So we got two ways of doing it. We can either get the signal wires straight from the wheel speed sensors, or we can grab everything from this point. So we got 3 wires wired up. So all we gotta do is pin it to its appropriate spots on this computer, and then we're done with that. All right, so we got all our traction control connections soldered in. All 3 of those wires that we wired up at the center console goes to J1A. And the last part of this traction control wiring is we got to get 3 wires from this point and wire them in to the Pro EFI. When I do my wiring, I like to try to see if I can use wires that are the exact color of what I'm trying to wire into. If I can't, then I try to find something that is somewhat close. So like I mentioned before, I always keep around a bunch of miscellaneous harnesses. This here I think came out of like a BMW. So the few color wires I'm looking for, I'm gonna see if I can snag them from here so that I can go ahead and wire them into the Pro EFI. The last little bit of the traction control wiring that mostly has something to do with like how the lights operate for the traction control and like the traction control button. When it's got to be wired in, you have to wire it in and then you have to push it into one of these pins, meaning that it doesn't have one of those metal pins like that already on it. So the cool thing about Pro EFI is they offer these little deals here. So let me show you how to, actually I ain't gonna show you how to do it, you already know how to do it, but if not, you can still watch it. Look who decided to show up.
You just pulled the camera out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere.
What's up, Speed Addicts fam?
What up? And our last move that we got to make for the ABS and traction control is there's a wire that we got to cut for this traction control relay. And it's under this box and the color is light green with a red stripe. What is that?
So these are LED bulbs from, I'll tell you who they're from in a second, show them to you. That's our replacement for the factory bulb. I think this is a H7 or something. So these are LED bulbs. They're
Look at that. The back of it got a fan in there? Or what's the, sure does. Look at that. It's got a fan in there, guys.
Helps with the temps.
Wow.
Getting longevity out of the bulb. But it's supposed to be about the best headlights you can get outside of HIDs without going that step. And we'll find out. We'll put it to the test and see how much brighter they may be. They look real nice, and they came plug and play for the factory harness connector there.
Sweet.
Came with this 3M tape. I'll show you the other one. So this is everything that came in the box. This is from carlightingdistrict, CLDLED.com. They sell HIDs and audio visual stuff, security stuff for pretty much any car. And the unboxing is really nice. You have the unit that powers it right there. Came with some 3M tape I'll show you. There's the 3M little mounting pad.
Double-sided?
Double-sided.
Sweet.
Plugs up to the factory harness. Has some extra O-rings based on what you're mounting it to. Here's the O-ring that's already on it. You can see the
orange one. Yep.
And this is a real nice unit. There's your fan that you called out a second ago.
And remind us that whenever we do start the vehicle up, we'll take a peek back at these headlights to see what they look like.
So as we were saying, you know, we're gonna try this product out. We have our friend up in Canada, Ryan Summit. It's got like a 2,000 horsepower Supra. He turned us on to this. So we're gonna try out this car lighting district, and good or bad, either way, you know, we're gonna keep it real with you. So if it's bad, we'll cut it from the channel, find something different. If it's good, we're gonna share the savings. So we're gonna drop a link somewhere around here, down below, up top, in the comments. And you guys feel free to use that. We'll pass the savings on to you. You try it out, we'll try it out, we'll report back to you. Save a couple dollars and put the good stuff in your car like we're putting on the Supra.
All right, guys, so now we're done with the fuel pump wiring. Basically, we took 3 wires from the ECU, fuel pump ECU. We took 3 wires from there, wired into our first and second fuel pump relays. And then we also took the outbound wires to both relays and ran it to the primary fuel pump. And then we also ran this yellow wire to our secondary fuel pump, which is here. So that is done. And let me show you what we did on the inside. All right, so we got our Pro EFI iBoost wired in. That's also wired into the computer. We also wired in our electric cutout. We didn't show too much of that, but we got that set up as real tight connection. That goes to our electric cutout from the bottom. And then once again, that's activated from here. And it's also activated with a key fob, and we wired it into the cigarette lighter. Instead of having the traditional plug that plugs into it, that looks nasty. So we went ahead and took this all apart and wired it in from the back. And I don't know if I mentioned it before, but check this out. This is what they call a data logger. This thing is color screen and everything. I know it looks like one of them old school box TVs that sit on your grandma's floor when you go over there and your mama drop you off because she wants to go on a date. But yeah, this thing is pretty fresh. What exactly does this do?
Yeah, so like you said, it's a color CAN display. It's real basic. There's a CAN cable runs directly to the Pro EFI unit, the brain box that runs it. So it gives you real-time data feedback, data logger, so you can look at your boost settings, your AFRs. You can get readings from the knock sensor and all of those details. And then you can also make changes to the tune. So rather than plugging up to the laptop, you can change boost settings on there. You can change different things within the tables of the basic settings just from that screen. It's a color display. It has a menu on it, so we're kind of excited to try it out and see how well it works.
Hey, and I don't know about y'all, but that's fresh. Oh, so they sell something that replaces just the outer piece?
Yeah, the whole outer skin of it. So they make it in leather, they make a synthetic imitation leather, whatever price point you want. But for about like $150, $200, you can redo all the seats. And they said it takes, 4 or 5 hours, but once it's on, it's skin tight and it looks like OEM. So
good gracious, I can't wait to see that. All right, guys, we got 2 more things to do before we can add fluid to this unit and fire this puppy up. The Supra originally, the injectors in it needed a resistor box, which normally sits here. Since the injectors we got now do no longer need that resistor box. To make it simple, it was power going in, and then it was then the resistors did what it needed to do and sent it to the other 6 wires that went to the injectors. All we need to do is cut off the pigtail, join all those wires together, solder, and heat shrink. And then the last thing we want to do is this Pro EFI, the 128, is a universal ECU. And they do not make a bolt-in affair, or maybe they do make a bolt-in affair for the Supra, but we're not gonna waste any time. We just went to Home Depot, bought some diamond plate. I traced it with my paint pen, and I cut it all out, drilled my 3 holes, 1, 2, and 3, bolted it up, and then I drilled 2 little holes on the bottom. So let's go ahead and install this and see what the finished product look like. Good boy, that daggone aluminum backing bezel for the Pro EFI is sick. Man, that thing is sick. All right, fam, The Pro EFI 128 is finally installed in the Supra. So that only means but one thing. It's time to put the key in the ignition and fire this puppy up. But before we do that, we need to add fluid. You won't be able to see none of those in this episode, but stay tuned for the next episode because we will attempt to fire the 2J fully built, actually ain't fully built, but top end built. We gonna fire this thing up. We gonna fire this up, and I know you guys are ready to see it happen. So stick around for the next episode. It's going down right here on Speed Addicts Garage. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button too. Help your boy out so I can put out more good content.